week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show. Mr. Sandwich. Episode 255. We've had some really crazy weather in California, so I'm excited to talk about Santa Anita and all the rain that's happened out here. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. It's a fun weekend coming up here. I'm going to the beach. Super excited about that. We got some great horse racing. Oakland coming through big time. We just got to see Prevalence run. So, yeah, I'm pumped up, man. It's been good.
Yeah, I tuned in. I did watch Prevalence run. It was a good run. I think that's pretty much what you thought you needed to see from him, which was to beat a pretty mediocre field. Like, they were pretty mediocre. So he's going to move on. Aaron told us, I think it was Aaron said in the group chat, that it was going to be either the Arkansas Derby, the Bluegrass, or the Wood Memorial for him next. So I think out of those three, I'd go with the Wood Memorial. Aaron, I think, was leaning that way as too. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably end up in the Wood. I think the Arkansas Derby is the other one that makes sense. Obviously, Godolphin's got a runner going in the Bluegrass, so I don't think he ends up there. It's a shame you can't go in the Florida Derby, where you're 2 for 2 over a track and you don't have to ship the horse anywhere. But timing-wise, as you pointed out, doesn't work so well for the Florida Derby. I actually think I would go to Arkansas because I don't think that much of Cattle River, but I know Aaron thinks differently, and that's kind of why he would avoid that spot. I will say that the Aqueduct track is definitely the weakest of the three if you're looking for an easy win.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd rather go to Gulfstream, I'd rather go there than to Gulfstream, and we've seen what happens at Gulfstream. That quick turnaround, I think, is really going to be what does it for him. By the way, I don't think it's Cattle River he's worried about. I think it should be Concert Tour. He should be a little concerned about in the Arkansas Derby if that's where that horse ends up going. But this was a really exciting week. We had a lot of rain in California again. Survived another damn near hurricane out here. I think. Almost a third of an inch of rain fell in the last 48 hours out here. So it's been pretty crazy. Santa Anita has definitely gotten rain. I make a joke, but there actually has been some rain to soften up the turf course a little bit and the dirt course. And you remember there's actually a horse that we're going to talk about in this sequence, Mike, who won right after it rained because it softened the turf up. So I'm excited to get into that. But before we get there, what's the best thing you saw this week?
So I'm actually going to go with something I saw today. And this is one of those gems in horse racing. I don't think it's enough credit. So Matt Dinnerman is going to be the best thing I saw today. He calls the races up at Golden Gate Fields, and someone decided to name a horse No Bucks Given, okay? Which is a really hard thing to say without swearing if you have to do it quickly while talking about 5 other horses in a race and do it 10 times in a single race. And he was so damn professional about it, did not skip a beat at any point. I mean, I notoriously butcher horses' names during a podcast, which I have time to prep for and watch replays to listen to those names. And I'm sitting here reading them. And if I was given No Bucks Given as a horse that I need to call in a horse race, I would drop at least 3 F-bombs by the time they're at the top of the stretch. So I got to give Matt Dinnerman credit. He's one of those guys who I think does a really good job at one of those tracks that, Golden Gate, obviously not a small track, but definitely doesn't get the same accolades as some of the announcers do at Santa Anita and at Saratoga and Gulfstream. So want to give him a shout out. I was super impressed that he did not mess that up one single time today.
I love Matt Dinnerman. He's one of my favorite announcers. And you would never know this listeing to his voice. He and Ricky Pasternak are the same age, and yet Matt Dinnerman sounds like he sounds like he's Ricky's daddy. So I mean, maybe he is, but no, I think that Matt Dinnerman does an amazing job. And when jobs open up down the line at bigger tracks, he's going to be someone whose name gets thrown around a lot, rightfully so. And I think he's going to show up probably in the next, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. I think he can leave Golden Gate and take a big job. I mean, like in Oakland Park, fingers crossed, get a new announcer there, or even if it's go to Aqueduct or something like that. He's got a lot of potential. So, and a very nice guy too. If you ever meet him in person, just a tremendously nice guy. Like almost too nice, where you'd think maybe he's a sociopath, but he actually is just really that nice. So, good job by Matt Dinnerman not cursing. I know you would have made the mistake. I would have made the mistake too.
Yeah, of course, in true Samich fashion too. The horse's name is Zero Bucks Given, not No Bucks Given. So I got it wrong anyway, but I didn't drop the F-bomb.
I was just thinking, I was like, that's funny. There's a 0 bucks given, no bucks given. Okay, I didn't pay any mind to it. Best thing that I saw is from Aaron Halterman, which, by the way, we finished painting the nursery, and you would have thought that that'd be the best thing that I saw. And then Aaron Halterman sent me the new promo for the NHL and ESPN ad, and it's just like, oh my God, the feelings that it evoked when I watched. Like first, it's a little over a minute long. The first half of it is. It's the nostalgia trip, and it's showing all the clips through the decades when ESPN was hosting the NHL from the very first time they did it, and then it kicks in with this right here. I mean, how do you not see that and not just to get immediately be like, we're going hockey, let's go right now, grab the beers, grab the boys, we're gonna go watch some hockey. I mean, Jesus, I'm all oof.
Yeah, and you got a holy jumping in there too. You get a little panger action for some Blues love, and I guess that makes up for them showing I'm glad you didn't show the Yzerman goal. I would have been mad at you if you showed the Yzerman goal, which was earlier in that whole clip. But yeah, look, that music just gets the blood flowing, man. I cannot wait. I'm excited to just have NHL back on ESPN. I think it's gonna be great for the sport. But I can't wait to have that access to it, NHL Plus and everything. But that music, just do not get rid of that music, ESPN. It better be the same. I will be so pissed if they tease that out and then it's not that music.
I mean, it was like, and yeah, Jason says bring back Gary Thorne. Hearing what gets me the chills every time is when it's the Gary Thorne going, goal, 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 just like over and over in that. I'm just like, I get all excited. It was, that music. I'm with you. Nothing else. You've got to bring that. And the way people have reacted to this, by the way, yes, I got NHL 94, Feldman, of course, game. Great one. The way that people reacted to this, I don't think ESPN could possibly ever bring it back without the music. Because people, I mean, the NHL players were texting John Buccigross and saying that, that they've watched that ad that I just played an absurd amount of times right after it got released. So
NHL Tonight better be back, too. That's all I'm saying. Bring it back, baby.
Oh, with Buccigross. Okay, well, I need to calm down. I need to take some deep breaths. We're going to talk about Santa. Usually I get this excited because we're at Santa Anita Park, but it's actually something else took over first. We are going to look at the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park. We got a couple of graded stakes races. I think it's a little mean that there's a state-bred turf sprint stakes or a state-bred turf allowance at the end of it, because that's usually what always tripped me up at Aqueduct. So we'll see what happens in that race. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up.
Hey, Magic. Did you watch the Rocket Hour this morning?
I did. I saw he got to break the news about everybody racing news working with Manscaped.
Yeah, man. Manscaped.com sent us what they call the perfect package, which totally fits, by the way. It's got lots of good stuff inside.
Oh, yeah. So they got this electric razor. They call it the Lawnmower 3.0. It's cordless. It's waterproof. It's rust resistant, so you can take it in the shower, so it makes it easier for the little hairs and stuff to go away. It's easy to clean, which is nice, and it's a really safe way to keep yourself pretty well manicured down below the waist.
Like a freshly trimmed Arlington Park turf course.
Oh, yes, sir. That's great. Just like that, the perfect package also includes a ball spray toner, which sounds weird, but it'll keep you feeling fresh even if you're coming off of a layoff. And there's also this anti-chafing deodorant. You can use that to protect you when you're sweating out that inquiry at the track. It's all really great stuff in this thing.
The perfect package also comes with the premium boxers, which feel amazing when you put them on when you're done cleaning.
God, dude, I put the boxers on. Like, I was a joke. I was like, I'm going to try these on. And then I was like, oh my God, like, this stuff actually works. And what's going to feel even more amazing, Mike, if you go to manscaped.com, you use the promo code MAGICMIKE, MAGICMIKE, all one word.
That's for 20% off plus free shipping on your first order.
But wait, Mike, there's more.
Oh, only for the Magic Mike Army. If you use the code Magic Mike and send us a screenshot of your order, we're going to let you pick a future episode. Well, we'll draw one person to let you pick a future episode of what track we're going to cover.
Oh yeah, and not only that, you get to send us your pick 4 ticket in advance. We're going to put it on the screen, and you get to battle head to head on the Magic Mike Show with the experts.
Wait, Aaron's joining us for an episode?
Go to manscaped.com, use promo code MAGICMIKE. That's all one word. It's going to get you 20% off, plus free shipping, plus you'll get to be a big part of a future episode of the Magic Mike Show.
Make sure you support the Magic Mike Army. Use the code MAGICMIKE, 20% off.
Your balls will thank you. All right, Mike, let's get into the late pick 4 sequence at Santa Anita Park on Saturday, March 13th, presented by Manscaped.com. Go to Manscaped.com with any order. If your first order, use the code MAGICMIKE, get 20% off plus free shipping, plus the chance to play against Mike and I on a future episode of the Magic Mike Show. And listen, we've already had a couple of you making the purchases, sending the screenshots to us, showing us that you used our code. We love you, Magic Mike Army. Let's keep it going. All right, start things off here. Mike, did you want to start things off?
Yeah, no, this is a good week to do it, too, because someone could have us do the Stronach 5 next Friday with that carryover. So if you want to get that in, that is a good week to get to use the Magic Mike code there on Manscaped.com.
That is a great reason. Thanks for me that. But we were actually going to do the Stronach 5, and then Laurel Park, there's a little bit of a herpes outbreak. I think Aaron might have been visiting Laurel Park in the last week or so, but we're going to have to push it. We'll wait until next week for that one. Let's take a look at race 6 on Saturday at Santa Anita Park, kicking off this late pick 4 sequence. Mike, we've got a field of 9 males, 5 and up, in for a 12.5K tag. The number 6 horse owning is going to scratch. This is a 7 furlong race, and what's tricky about that is that the 2-1 favorite, the number 5 horse, Oil Can Knight, has never tried this, but he looks like he's the best horse. It's just a question of, can he handle the distance? I'd love to get your thoughts on this race.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm going to use Oil Can Knight as one of my must-use horses. I think he's incredibly logical here. But this last race, that he was able to beat a couple of these horses 2 back, and that specific race, when you look at it, it's a weird race because the 7 horse Greedy came out of that same race, and he just didn't seem to run his best effort in that spot. So so he didn't run his best effort in that spot, even though it was 3-1 there. So I think you kind of have to look at those 2 horses and see them very similar. I'm going to use 5 here, so I'm using Oil Can Knight essentially defensively. I don't want this horse to beat me. This horse seems to run big races when I don't bet it, so I'm going to go ahead and play it this time. To me, Horse Greedy is more interesting at 7-1, though. I mean, this is a horse that's second off the claim here for Peter Miller, who generally steps his horses forward. This horse kind of took a little bit of aggression first off the claim. He was not bet very heavily, and now we're stretching out to 7 furlongs, checking off the claim. Hernandez is taking the ride again. I think this horse runs pretty big. You've got 80s buyers in the back class that is definitely as good, if not better, than the mass majority of this field, and you're getting that 6-1 morning line price. So for me, the 5 and the 7 are the 2 must uses. But like I said, I'm spreading like butter here.
Yeah, I think I think what we are going to realize here is that the 2 outer legs, we don't have strong opinions, and the 2 stakes, we're going to get a lot thinner there. So that's definitely how I structured my ticket. I went 4 deep here. I didn't use 7 horse Greedy. I feel like he's over the hill. He and John Sadler have been passing this horse back and forth. Peter Miller has a couple of times. So he claims him for 25, and he returns him in for 16. So he gives him a class drop, runs poorly, and now he class drops him again. And I know a lot of people aren't going to want to claim off of Peter Miller very often. It's not usually a very profitable move, but I don't like that he brings this horse back at consistently lower levels because I'm afraid he's over the hill. Now, this is a very, very bad field that he's facing. This is the lowest level he's ever been at. He's got the back numbers. I'm just going to take a shot against that. He isn't going to be able to do that. I also used the 5 Oil Can Knight a little bit defensively. He's never run at 7 furlongs, but 5 of his 8 career wins have been at Santa Anita. He's actually 5 for 10 at Santa Anita. Edwin Maldonado fits this horse perfectly. And he's had 4 races at 6.5 furlongs where he's either been facing straight claimers or facing a starter allowance field. He's won 3 of those and was 3rd in the 4th one. So I think he's got the ability, if that extra half furlong doesn't trip him up, he should win this. He should be the best horse. My top pick, I'm actually going with the 8. Black Storm here for Jeff Mullins. This is a horse that 5 of his 7 career wins have been at Santa Anita. He has won at 7 furlongs. He's been lower. I mean, the 10-5 is what he's in for now, so he's getting a slight weight allowance, which I don't usually love, but he consistently runs really well at this bottom level. And so if you go with the theory that when they get to these bottom level claimers, they're just running with their friends, he tends to run better than most of his friends. And so I think that that's going to give him an edge. I really thought that 6 furlong win last time out over Santa Anita was a nice wake up for him. I think he should be able to handle this stretch out. But, his recent form suggests maybe that's not going to be the best thing. And you didn't actually use him, did you?
No, I didn't. I felt like if you use this horse, you were kind of forced to use 2 other horses in here because, look, the 8 horse Black Storm is run behind the 9 horse Jen's Reserve and the 10 horse White Sports Coat consistently multiple times. So if you're going to use the 8, I think you kind of have to use the other 2. And I just didn't want to use all 3 of them. I did use one of the 3. The 10 horse was actually the last horse on my entire ticket here, a White Sport Coat. Again, I think that last race was just not his best effort. This is second off the claim for Kristen Mulhall. She has had this horse. This horse has been better in the past. And I think the 7 furlong distance is going to do wonders for a white sport coat. We were at this distance 2 back when it was claimed out of the Art Sherman barn. The horse was a 2-1 favorite, and it just lost the bob for second place. So to me, I think that the distance is going to suit the 10 well. And the 8 likes to run, but doesn't like to win. And that's a big problem for me when we're playing pick fours.
So speaking of doesn't like to win, let's talk about the 10-0 white sports coat. Kristen Mulhall started the meet very hot. She's 0 for 19. Her last win was January 23rd. And you look at the numbers with Ricky Gonzalez, quite strong when they're not at Santa Anita. They're now 0 for 15 together, which is very odd. And I'm saying that's why you should base your argument on playing against this horse. But Mulhall started really hot and then got a lot of attention and has suddenly not won in a month and a half. So a little bit of a concern there with what's going on in her barn. Let's talk about a horse that we both did end up using here. That's going to be the 2 Tobacco Road. This was the last one to make my ticket. A big reason is because Emily Ellingwood, the jockey, and Ryan Hansen, they team up a lot lately. Very strongly at these lower level claiming races. They've won together twice in the last, I think, 5 mounts that they've had together. So that was a big reason I like this horse at a price, getting a bug and a jockey combo, trainer combo that works. What about you?
Yeah, I use this horse as well. Ryan Hansen, second off the layoff with Ellingwood, was a big part of that. The fact that 2 back against pretty much the same field, this horse was 4-1, and we're getting a 15-1 morning line as well, I think is a big reason why you kind of sneak this horse in. And in a race where you spread, if I can use a horse that's 15-1, that I'm getting that much value on, that I don't see any reason why. Look, at this low level, you're going to get inconsistency. You're going to see horses step up and drop down, and you're not going to get that effort time and time again. So just because one time the horse doesn't run that well is no reason it should be 15-1 in this spot. It went off at 25-1 last time out and ran a decent race. So I'm going to take a price with the 2-horse Tobacco Road here at 15-1. And finally, I'm going to use the 4 Rinse and Repeat as well. This is one of those barns that when they come to Santa Anita, they've been hot. So the Lorenzo Ruiz barn, 3 wins out of 12 starts, but it's been in the money 5 times. That last race, I actually think was pretty good. And it's a race that a lot of these were coming out of. It was at 6.5. This horse was showing interest in trying to close. It had issue at the start, and it just missed in a head bob for third. And a race where Octopus and Khaleesi, if you go through this, there's a bunch of them coming out of that exact same race. And Rinse and Repeat ran probably the best of all of those people. Has won at 7 furlongs with an 81 Buyers, won at Santa Anita. So to me, there's enough there to like. And the 8-1 price, you get Ruben up, and you get a barn that's shipping everything in that's live.
I wanted to use Rinse and Repeat. Ended up not making it. I went with Tobacco Road instead, but it's 6 for 12 hitting the board at Santa Anita. What little concern for me is that 4 of those 6 are running second. So, but listen, these are low-level claimers. They're down here because none of them really like to win that often. One horse that does like to win a little bit is the 3 Shane Zane. I'm going to ride with this horse with Jessica Pfeiffer at 12-1. At this level, last time out was 7-2. Now is 12-1. We're getting $2,000 less on the claiming price, so now we're getting 2 pounds less than what the horse raced at last time. Horse had a really wide trip. I understand that. You know what's really hard to do going 7 furlongs from post 3 is get a wide trip. So I'm hoping that this horse that's extremely well bred is a gelding by Medaglia d'Oro is going to be able to handle the distance. I like this horse's cutting back. We won a mile, 2 turns, mile 16th before that. 2 back. Jess Pfeiffer rode this horse to win. And it was the claimer 10,000 level is basically what this horse is running at now. So now this horse, who was 2-1 favorite, then the 7-2, second or third choice, now is 12-1. And the only thing that's changed is the trainer, and we've cut back in distance, which should help this horse. I'm going to roll with it. But again, you didn't.
No, and I think that, look, I want this horse at 2 turns if it can get the lead. And that's exactly what happened 2 back, is that you had a bug jockey on a horse going 2 turns that was able to get to the front and able to hold on. Last time out, yeah, I agree with you. That trip doesn't do justice to the horse, because when you're going a mile at Santa Anita and you're caught wide on both turns and you want to be in the lead and you're in 6th, good luck. It's over, right? But I just don't think that Shane Zane is as good of a sprinter as these other horses. I think this is kind of a one-pace plotter. And if you're a one-pace plotter, the worst thing you can do is go 6 or 7 furlongs, because your pace is going to be slower and they're not going to tire enough. Whereas if you can get to the lead in those 2-turn races at Santa Anita, you can plod your way to a win. So I thought the distance was a real hindrance for the 3 Shane Zane.
Well, let's take a look at the first of 2 graded stakes races at Santa Anita Park on Saturday, March 13th. The first one, we're looking at race 7, the grade 3, $100,000 San Simeon Stakes. A very even field here, Mike. You've got 7 males and 1 female, 4 and up, going 6 furlongs on the turf course. And that 1 female is your 3-1 favorite. That's the 7 Jolie Olympica, one of my favorite horses. But just to show you how even everything is here, field of 8. Number 2, Gregorian Chant. Number 5, Sistron. They're both 7-2. Number 4, Sambier, and our old friend number 3, Bob and Jackie. They're both 4-1. So 5 of the 8 horses are either 3-1 or 4-1 or 7-2 on the morning line. And yet we're both going a little short in this race.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the tougher races, I thought. But to me, the reason why, well, let me rephrase that. I think this is one of those races where you have a lot of different winners, but I think that Jolie Olympica is probably the most likely winner of the entire 4 races. And so because of that, I'm not going to go as deep, but I'm going to take a couple swings elsewhere with it. So Jolie Olympica, before, I jumped to, horses, clearly the top pick in this spot. I think by far the best horse and should win the race. I'm going to play a $5 ticket as well, where I'm going to start with 2 horses in the previous race, just the 5 and the 7. I'm going to single up the 7 here in that ticket. She's a class of this field. Yeah, she's facing the boys. She's better than them. But there's a lot of horses in here who I do think are interesting in that sense, especially a couple of them at a price. So I'm going to start with Jolie Olympica. I'm assuming she's your pick on top as well.
Oh, yeah, she was my must-play too. I went too deep here, and I thought you definitely have to use this horse. So she's lightly raced. But if you look at the only 3 times that she's lost, the 3 horses who beat her, they all won their next starts, all in graded stakes races. Keeper of the Stars, Rushing Falls, Charmaine's Mia. You got to be a really goddamn good horse to beat Jolie Olympica, and I don't know that I can definitively say anyone in this field is a legitimate goddamn good horse like Charmaine's Mia, Rushing Fall, Keeper of the Stars.
Yeah, and this distance is perfect for her too. This fake 6 furlong Santa Anita distance that's actually more closer to 6.5 to 6 3/4 of a furlong is like right in her alley, because she's right in between that 6 and that mile horse. When you look at her races, she should love this distance, love this turf course. I think she's going to be awfully tough here, but you've got to try and find a little bit of value. So I'm going to use the 3 Bob and Jackie, who I have gone back and forth on quite a few times. I think we talked about this horse I don't know how many times on this freaking show.
Just fell out of my chair. You said Bob and Jackie. Wow.
But no, this horse. What if this horse is a better sprinter? Like the reason I don't like Bob and Jackie in a lot of these races is that she's running, or he's running. Freaking hate this name because they always call it a girl. He's running in 2-turn turf races and quitting toward the end. You know what was really good if you're running in 2-turn turf races and quitting toward the end? Running in a 6.5 furlong turf sprint. When you have that much speed and you're able to be close to the pace, you're going to get a good trip. I think the 3, if it likes the turf sprint, could be the one that pulls the upset here at 4-1.
He could. You made a compelling case. I didn't use because I think a little ironic. I think this is a little bit of a one-paced horse too. I think that if he gets on the lead, great. But when you ask him to try and pass horses and really get going against good horses, it doesn't always happen for him. And he's only won once in the last year and a half, and that was the restricted stakes, the Wicker. So, listen, if you're on Bob and Jackie. You're on Bob and Jackie, and I'm off of Bob and Jackie. What does that tell you?
What a world. What a world we live in. Just wait until I tell you my 3rd horse. Aaron and Jared better strap themselves to their chair. The 3rd one.
I kind of chalked out a little bit. I went too deep. I'm going to use the 2 Gregorian Chant. Listen, this is the horse that I alluded to at the beginning of the show when I said we've had rain in California this week. This horse won the Clocker's Corner, cutting back from going 1.5 miles because there was a lot of give in the ground because we had a lot of rain. This horse is going to get this exact same setup. Like, I can't believe the exact same thing is happening. On top of that, Phil D'Amato is incredibly good at turf sprints right now. He's 22% in the last couple of years, but at Santa Anita, he's 31% in turf sprints. We're getting Juan Hernandez for the second time. Juan's ridden him to victory more than once, which is a nice sign. I thought that this was just a pretty much open and shut, go 2-7 and move on.
Yeah, I wildly disagree with you. I think I don't think you can use the 2 here. The 2 had been going much longer, cut back to a sprint, and I agree with you. Like Gregorian Chant, by the way, slam dunk horse. So I have every incentive to use this horse here. You need to take a big time step forward to compete here. Like, we're talking, the buyer jump has to be close to 5 or 6 points to compete with the top 2 in this spot. And I don't love the fact when you have a horse that was running at 1.5 miles, 1.25 miles, a lot of mile races, cuts back for the first time as a 5-year-old to try turf sprinting. That tells you that they didn't think this horse was a turf sprinter. And saying that coming out of the Clocker's Corner and winning that race and comparing it to what Jolie Olympica has done, to me, is a big time stretch. So I do think that the 2 is probably a better turf sprinter now, but I think this is a little bit over the head. I think it's too big of a jump up to step right into it. And I think this horse is going to get bet. I think people are going to see that Clocker's Corner, which was a very impressive race, and say, the Gregorian Chant's going to come flying late and be able to get up there. I have no interest in this horse, sub 10-1 in this spot.
Okay. Well, that's true. You're definitely not going to get you're not going to get that same nice price that we got last time. or we were offered last time. I definitely didn't take it. Okay, so tell everybody why the 6 Sha Sha Shake Me Up is the correct play in this race.
Because Sha Sha Shake Me Up is the unknown in this spot. I talk about this all the time. You have knowns versus unknowns. We don't know how good Sha Sha Shake Me Up is on the turf.
Yes, we do.
What we do know, you have one effort at Fairgrounds, and it wasn't when he was in the Peter Miller barn, okay? What we do know is Peter Miller is the best turf sprint trainer at Santa Anita, okay? And we do know that Peter Miller does miraculous things with horses after he claims them and puts them in turf sprints. Miraculous, okay? Like winning a 15-1 to close out an Oaklawn card, or 50-1 to close out an Oaklawn card, just like Sha Sha Shake Me Up did 2 years ago or last year, whenever that was. That bastard. Anyway, look, this horse has the last 2 races been pretty impressive. Okay, runs a 96 Beyer, then goes into a grade 3 at Santa Anita on the dirt. Runs second behind Wildman Jack at 5-1. Stumbled in that race. Didn't have any issue with not having Lasix in that race. We're not having Lasix in this spot. Peter Miller, who, like I said, decides to move this horse over to the turf, and he is the best turf sprint trainer at Santa Anita. And we get Gonzalez aboard, and I'm getting 12-1. And I don't know the talent level of this horse. I have a general idea of everyone else, except for the one who I also think is playable in this spot. But the 6 to me is the one that's just an unknown. We just don't know what the horse is going to do. And because of the connections and because that you do have buyers that fit, if it converts over the turf, I think 12-1 is a good price.
I'm going to give you, after we get off the show, I'm going to send you Paul Withrow, Free Beers, his number. You can call him and ask him what kind of talent level Sha Sha Shake Me Up has, because he drafted him on the Fantasy League last year. So I think he doesn't have great things to say about him. Yeah,
but since going to the Peter Miller barn, he's run back-to-back 96 and 94 buyers, which is completely different than what he's done in the past, okay?
And to your point, Silver State, who beat him 2 back when he was second at Churchill, Silver State is probably going to be the favorite in, the Essex handicap at Oaklawn this weekend. So you got that to look forward to as well.
And we got multiple 80s buyers at Oaklawn and Churchill in 2020. So you can point to something and say, this horse is now taking a step forward. There's improvement. Like I said, 12-1, man. I think it's worth a price or worth a shot because you know that Peter Miller's going to have this horse ready to go. And, I mean, we're getting a good, solid turf jock. Like, to me, 12-1's a nice price for an unknown horse.
Aaron almost fell out of his chair, but then now he's saying he's made so much money off of the other Miller in tournaments. So, there you go. Play him as a tournament play. He'll get second to Jolie Olympica, and everybody will be happy.
I do think the one, Barristan the Bold, is interesting, too. I want to at least mention this horse. Glatt is a sneaky 14% in graded stakes with a $2.37 ROI and 16% off the layoff. And the fact that Cedillo takes this horse and it's on a cutback and the horse did turf sprint well internationally, I think it's a tough spot to come back. But I do think the one Barristan the Bold is another long shot that has an outside chance of getting the job done.
Sorry, that was Jared who made the money off of Peter in the tournaments. I looked at the one Barristan the Bold. My problem is Mark Glatt is really not good with turf sprints, and I don't like that this horse drew the rail. So those two things.
Yeah, the rail's not great.
I'll watch with some interest and see, but I'm definitely not going to play. Neither of us used the 5, Sistron, who's the defending champion in this race. For me, a big concern is the layoff. We haven't seen him since the Daytona, which is 5.5 furlongs over this course back in last May. I honestly think this is a much better dirt horse. He's got 6 wins, 3 apiece on each surface, but 8 dirt starts and 21 on turf. And Sadler, his trainer, said that he's using this as a prep for a dirt race for the next start. So all those reasons, I was like, I'm staying off the Sistron. Is the same thing for you?
Distance, too. Like we said, this is a long 6 furlongs because of the run-up that you face. And this horse kind of struggles going over 6 furlongs. And so I think that he's going to get caught late. I think this will be a definite pace player, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get to the wire.
All right, Mike, let's move on to the marquee event of Saturday at Santa Anita Park, race 8, the Grade 1 $300,000 Beholder Mile Stakes. By the way, if you want a full race preview of this, head over to the Racing Dudes YouTube channel or to racingdudes.com. We have the full preview for the race on the site, and it comes with a full video preview from Dr. Miranda, so go check that one out. She is all about your 8-5 favorite on the rail, Swiss Skydiver, champion 3-year-old filly, making her first start since the Breeders' Cup Distaff when she had a very disappointing 7th, but a very long, tremendous campaign there. I am not using her at all, and I don't think you are. You are. Wow. Okay, hang on a second. You're using Bob and Jackie and Swiss Skydiver, and I'm not using either one of them. I think I need to hit reset on today because something went wrong.
How are you not using her?
How are you? Dr. Miranda even predicted you weren't going to use. I think this is the biggest shocker of all. Nobody would have thought that you would use Swiss Skydiver first off the long layoff. Hasn't had a really long campaign. Kenny McPeak got Robbie Alvarado as the favorite. There's 5 works total for this race since November, and then she worked super fast on March 6th, and then had to ship immediately afterwards. And McPeak said it was too fast of a work. No.
Oh, I'm going to single her in my $5 ticket. I like, this is a completely different scenario than Maxfield last week. Okay, completely different scenario. Maxfield hadn't beaten that much going into that race. It was shipping and running over a new track at a distance that was that was a little bit of a concern. You have a bunch of different reasons why Maxfield was beatable in that spot. Swiss Skydiver won at a mile, won over Santa Anita. Oh, by the way, beat Authentic late last year. Like, who she's beaten is massively better than anyone that Maxfield beat. So I don't have any of those concerns with her. The layoff obviously is a concern. But guess what? This field didn't come back that tough. It just didn't. I mean, so for me, Swiss Skydiver here is clearly the best horse in this race, like without a doubt. Now, she may not be 100%. She may not be 100% going into this race. I'll give you that. But we're coming back in a grade 1 race here. And I realize Maxfield was as well. But like McPeak shipping her in here doesn't make any sense if he doesn't think she has a legit shot. Robbie Alvarado comes to ride. Obviously, he's going to do that. There's no way he doesn't. But like, we got the rail where you have speed. We're going a mile. We're going over Santa Anita. Like, everything kind of plays out. This horse has done this before. What do you think, Swiss Guy? It's just, like, the only thing I can say against her is a layoff. That's it.
The layoff, the lack of many works coming into this, the fact that he's bringing Alvarado out here when Alvarado doesn't know how to ride at Santa Anita, the fact that she has not won at a mile, as you said earlier, and the fact that when she won at Santa Anita, it was against 3 other horses. Nobody challenged her for the lead, and she won easy as she pleases. So all those reasons, I'm very much against Swiss Skydiver. Also, first time, no Lasix. We have no idea what that's going to do to her. My top pick, I'm going with the Bob Baffert horse, number 6. If I can get my PPs to show up here, Jesus Christ, sorry. Everything's going all crazy on me over here. Who is the 6th horse? As time goes by, thank you very much. Bob Baffert horse. Mike Smith is jumping off of Golden Principle, who is a very strong horse that Mike Smith has been riding constantly. Now comes over to As Time Goes By, who got a 99 buyer for winning over this course in distance. She is impeccably bred. She's a half to Take Charge Indy and a half to the greatest Rebel Stakes winner in race history, Will Take Charge. She's by American Pharoah. All of these reasons, I absolutely love this horse in this spot, and I think she's peaking at the perfect time, and I don't have to worry about her form. I love this horse.
Yeah, I went too deep. I used the 6.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, it's clearly the other horse that you use in this spot, right? Like, to me, it's the one unknown. I don't know how good this horse is. I have a general idea of how good every other horse is, and I know Swiss Skydiver stands over him. I don't know how good the 6 As Time Goes By is. And, much like we're using Miller in the last race, there's a reason you use the Baffert here too, right? So I think that this is your logical horse that beats it. I'll put it that much. I'm not sure the price you get here. I think the 6 is going to get bet down from 4 to 1. If I could lock in 4 to 1, I'd be much more interested. But like, the Swiss Skydiver obviously going to take a ton of money. I think As Time Goes By is the other horse that gets bet in this spot.
Well, I'm going to use my girl Harvest Moon. She is my second pick here. This is her first start at age 4, so like Swiss Skydiver, we do have a bit of a layoff to worry about. It's not Callahan's strong point, only 10%. However, the difference here is that he's been targeting this race for Harvest Moon since the Breeders' Cup Distaff ended. He said he was going to train her up to her the Beholder. Plenty of solid works in there. Flavian Pratt's been riding her in the morning, so he's been making sure that she's ready. She's a perfect 3 for 3 at the distance. She won her only start at Santa Anita, which was in the Grade 2 Zenyatta against older horses, including Hard Not to Love and Fighting Mad, both very talented Graded Stakes winners. The big concern for the only concern I have with Harvest Moon is the layoff and what kind of a development she's had. I'm guessing probably the layoff is what kept you away from her as well.
No, well, she's not as good as Swiss Skydiver. That's what kept me away from her, to be totally blunt. Like, everyone in this race except the 6 is definitely not as good as Swiss Skydiver. Now, yes, the layoff, blah, 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 it's horse racing, could happen. Like, literally beat Authentic. And we saw what Authentic was in the second half of the last year. Like that, what would Authentic be against this field? Do you want to play that game?
Authentic currently or Authentic?
And win this race right now. So like, for me, it's one of those things where I think Swiss Skydiver is clearly best of all the horses that we kind of know what they are. And the one horse that could really step forward is the 6 as time goes by. And so those are the 2 that I think you got to use.
I just don't think Swiss. I think this is the time to take the shot against Swiss Skydiver. I did use a third horse. I'll go real quick. The 4 Sananis, which again, go watch the Dr. Miranda preview because she tried 8 different ways to say the name and none of them were correct. So if you want to see her do her best Mike Samich impression, go check that out. This horse looked really great in the La Cañada Stakes. It was going a mile and 16th a little longer, but the 16th of a mile didn't make a difference. This horse was clearly the best in there. She did beat Hard Not to Love. She stomped on Miss Stormy D, who comes back in here. I think that she's going to be able to get that really great stalking trip where if Swiss Skydiver gets caught into a pace duel with someone, Sananis should be able to come by and be able to get there. I like the fact that Reese Belize aboard. I'm not going to say that she's better overall than Swiss Skydiver. I think that she's got a better shot to win with all of the factors involved.
The way that Swiss Skydiver loses is she does get hooked up, and Sananis could benefit from that pace hookup if that happens. And so I could see how you can end up here. And I guess that's the argument against Swiss Skydiver. You're in the one hole, you got to send. A couple others send with her. She's forced into a pace duel. Someone can come from the back, right? Like, I guess that's the argument. I think she just keeps going, but hey. Everyone has their own opinion. You get Rispoli on Sananis too. Sananis. You get Rispoli on Sananis too. So, this is one where I wouldn't totally talk you off of, right? Like Harvest Moon's a terrible pick, but I wouldn't talk you off of Sananis.
I definitely was hoping for better than 5-2 on Harvest Moon on the morning line, that's for sure. I didn't think I was going to get it, but I definitely was hoping for better than that. Let's keep moving on to the 4th and final leg of the late pick 4 sequence. Santa Anita Park on Saturday, March 13th, race 9. This is state-bred, California-bred allowance horses going 6 furlongs on the turf course. And like I said before, these state-bred turf allowance races to end a pick 4 usually bite me in the ass. So I'm going 5 deep here. Mike, what about you?
I'm going 2 deep. I actually really like a horse in here. So I'm going to go all the way outside in Carulian. I love Square Eddie's turf sprinting. We've talked about that many times on this podcast. So I'm sure that you were well aware I was going to use this horse. But beyond that, I like who he's faced. So last time out, faced City Rage, ran third to him. City Rage came back to win his next start. Two back faced Jet Evader and Bricks. Bricks is one of the better horses kind of at this level. It's a slam dunk horse that's been out there for a while. Ran an 84 at going in a $66,000 allowance. Non-winners are one for California breds. We're going into this, basically going back to that same level today. Prior to that, won a 5 furlong turf sprint, Del Mar and Open Company. So you have a horse that's competed very well at this level, running an 84 buyer, and twice against Open Company in its last 3 starts, and won one and finished third to 2 good horses. So to me, the 9 has proven class, likes the track. I think you get a good jockey here, one who knows Square Eddie well. I like the outside post for a horse that will show speed and stalk. I like the 5-1 morning line price. I like who this horse is facing. So I think it's all systems go for the 9 Carulian.
You don't remember. This is the horse that almost caused our famous divorce a long time ago.
Really?
You were all about Cerulean. I was all against him. We had a nice little dust up. And then Aaron came on Monday and because you were on vacation. I think that was another time you were at the beach, ironically. So if this horse wins when you're at the beach this time, we can at least say we were right together because this is also my top pick. I'm not, and not just because I don't want to get burned again, but I did learn a lot from that. Not just to challenge, not just to don't challenge the king unless you really got a good shot. I think this horse has got plenty of ability, and the buyers and everything that you said fits here. So we're in full agreement here. We're also in full agreement on the only other horse you use. That's the 1 table for 10, Flavian Pratt. Phil D'Amato, their last 17 turf sprints together, 6 wins, 7 seconds, and a third. Pretty good combo.
Yeah, it doesn't suck. I'm a little concerned about the distance. That's why, but I like the 2 of them together. To me, is something you kind of have to use. I also like the fact that this turf course has been playing a little bit more to closers. I've talked about that as we've gone through this, and now with the rain, I think it plays it even more toward the closers. The extra distance on this turf course, again, we talked about this last week when we covered this. You're running 6.5 to 6 3/4 because of that run up. It's not a true 6 furlongs at Santa Anita. That helps horses that are coming from off the pace. It helps horses that are a little more fit. Yes, we're coming off a layoff, but we were running mile and quarter races. Pratt will have this horse involved pretty early. I think the 1's got a big shot in this spot.
I'll fly through the other ones that I used. I also really liked the 5 bench judge a lot. A little bit of a class hike here, which is a little bit concerning, but this horse has won multiple times, both times at Santa Anita. And Mike, you talked about how you think this is going to set up well for closers. He's coming out of a 6.5 furlong turf sprint here where he was coming from off the pace, and he really had to grind in the stretch to get up and win. Exaltation fought him very hard, but Bench judge had him measured. Flavian Pratt bails for the D'Amato horse, but Juan Hernandez is more than capable, so I'm going to use him there. And then I also am going to use, I went back and forth about using both or using neither, and because I can afford to, I'm going to use both Bang for Your Buck and Bodacious. They're coming out of the same 6 furlong maiden special weight over this course and distance. Bang for Your Buck had a pretty rough trip, got steadied at the 3/8 pole going into the far turn, ended up going wide and still got up to get the win. This is his first time facing winners, but he did have a sub-12 second final furlong in the stretch, which I thought was very impressive, especially for a Calbred. Don't love that we're going to keep having Victor Espinoza in the saddle, but listen, he got the job done last time. I guess he could probably get it done here. Bodacious, this is still a maiden after 4 starts, but that was his first time with Brian Coroner, the trainer, first time at Santa Anita on the turf down here. Had the lead. Really just looked like he ran out of gas. So now this is going to be second off of a 6-month break. We're getting Jessica Pfeiffer up for a 7-pound bug allowance. That means this horse is going to have more gas than me after I eat a giant ice cream sundae. I just don't know how I want to take a maiden facing winners, but I think this could happen here. If that horse takes a step forward from that last out 79 buyer, he fits.
Yeah, I watched that race, and it was not good. That was my biggest problem with all these horses, because there's 3 of them coming out of here. The 6 Love was coming out of that race too, and I looked at all 3 of them, and it was a bad race, man. It wasn't a good race, and so instead of using them all and going shorter in the middle legs, I decided to chuck them and just go too deep here. 5 Bench Judge was my 3rd pick, so I nothing to say against Bench Judge. Horse at a price, I think, is on the outside. The 10 horse was the one that I almost put onto the ticket as well. That is Mysterious Stones. It's 12-1. It's the D'Amato barn. We talked about D'Amato Turf Sprinting, 22% with a $3.24 ROI. I think it's interesting we pulled the blinkers off here. I think that's actually going to be good for this horse. And that last race at Del Mar is not bad. Fly to Mars is a pretty good horse. Clayton Delaney, pretty good horse in the California State Bred circuit. So I know we're coming off a layoff, but I like shortening up in distance. This is a 4-year-old making its first start, taking the blinkers off. You have a 59 work out of a gate last work. So 12-1 on the outside, I think, is the interesting one. I just think the 9 is really good, and I think the 1 could step up. So that's why I only went too deep. But if I did spread more here, I'd use the 5 and the 10.
I did look at the 10 because of the D'Amato factor, but what kind of worried me here is he couldn't get it. I did nothing against Thiago Pereira, but they don't usually team up. They've only ridden together 3 times in the last 2 years. D'Amato's got his A, B, and C riders. I was like, I feel like if this horse had a really good chance, he would have had somebody other than Pereira, but the blinkers off is what really made me give this horse a consideration. So if you're looking for a price in this last leg, I'm with Mike. I think he can do a lot worse than the 10 Mysterious Stones. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks so much for joining Mike and I. If you're watching live or the replay on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. Give us a like, a thumbs up. We got our tickets down below here. I will go ahead and start things off. I just have 1 ticket for 50 cents. I'm going to go 2, 3, 5, 8 with 2, 7. With 3, 4, 6, with 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That is a $60 ticket. Mr. Samich, you also have $60 invested, but a little bit differently here.
Yeah, we're going to spice it up with a $5 ticket, but we'll start out with a 50-cent ticket. I'll go 2, 4, 5, 7, 10 with 3, 6, 7 with 1, 6 with 1, 9. That's $30 for 50 cents. And a $5 ticket, 4, 5, 7 with 1 with 1, 9. That'll cost you $30, so $60 total.
Perfect. I know the blinkers off guys are in the background. They'll be on a little bit later. They're going to be talking all about the Rebel Stakes over at Oaklawn Park. Plenty of stakes action there. You've got we talked about Peter Miller claiming horses and moving them up magically. CZ Rocket is returning to face Whitmore in the Hot Spring Stakes, which is going to be exciting because Whitmore has won that race 3 out of the last 4 years. And he won the Breeders' Cup Sprint. CZ Rocket was second in the sprint, was looking on fire, and had a little bit of a rough trip. So I'm curious to see who they're going to actually pick. I know they're both rooting for Whitmore, as I'm sure the rest of us are. But make sure you tune into Blinkers Off a little bit later here. You can catch the podcast or the video replay. However you're watching or listening to Mike and I, you can find Blinkers Off there as well. Mr. Samich, the Samo Bombs, it sounds like you're going to be coming to the Great Race Place all weekend. You pumped up?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. We got Santa Anita Friday already done, so we'll be popping those up on the site here shortly. Santa Anita will be there Saturday. I'm planning on doing Oaklawn Saturday as well. And then Sunday we'll probably be back to Santa Anita. I just really like Santa Anita, man. I feel like it's hittable for some prices right now. By the way, I wish Oaklawn Park renamed this race the Whitmore before, because it's going to be renamed the Whitmore at some point, right?
Has to.
Wouldn't it be cool if they renamed it the Whitmore and then Whitmore won it? To be the banner in the rafters before you retire. I think it'd be awesome if they did that. But eventually this will be the Whitmore. And he is now officially one of my top 5 all-time favorite horses after he helped me out over in the BCBC there.
Listen, there's a reason that the very last horse that you see in action, the actual racehorse in the intro video, closing video, is Whitmore. We love Whitmore and everything that his Breeders' Cup Sprint win represented, if not for the fact that none of us had him picked in the guide on top. But hey, listen, it helped out, and it was a nice, heartwarming story. So
strong tournament horse, though.
A strong tournament horse. So make sure you turn the blinkers off. The Rocket Hour will be back on Friday. I'm sure Ricky will be, after he gets through about a half hour of Syracuse basketball, he'll talk about the day's racing action and any stakes previews. And then head over to racenews.com because we have plenty of things available for you, including the Rebel Stakes Inside Track Wagering Guide, now available for sale. I've seen this thing. At least I saw the text of this. Aaron did a great job writing it up. I'm sure Jared and our new design team have done a really wonderful job here. I love the new logo. That's Oaklawn Park's the press box, or what do you call those fancy? I haven't been out in public in a year, Mike. What is this building called right here?
It's their grandstand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, it's a covered grandstand. Okay, I guess I thought they were all open air.
No, Pimlico's isn't either. Although there's holes in the windows at Pimlico.
Listen, why do you need glass if the sun always shines at Oaklawn Park? That's what I don't get. But make sure you go to racingnews.com, click on the handicapping products page. Make sure you check out the Rebel Stakes Inside Track to the Wagering Guide. Aaron has the full Rebel preview here for you. Ricky's Rockets, Asamo Bombs, everything you need for this entire racing weekend to make some money on the horses is available at racingdudes.com. Mike and I will be back on Monday at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific to talk about the racing action. Go over our tickets. As someone said earlier in the chat, Mike, one of us is going to have our foot in their mouth a lot. Any guesses on who that ends up being?
I mean, I'm the one backing McPeak and Alvarado, so it's 8 to 5. I have the best horse, but I got the worst connections.
Listen, the easiest double of the weekend, Bob and Jackie into Swiss Skydiver. You can thank us on Monday. We'll see you then. Until then, good luck, and make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Keller. He's at SummerBomb18, number 1, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Almost forgot that. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck.